Howdy folks, Jingles here again. We're still on the 7.5 test server and I'm still driving the T-62A. Have a look at the matchmaking spread here. There are some tier 8s in the game. That's the most generous matchmaking you're going to get in a tier 10 medium. You get into plenty of games where there are no tier 8s in sight, it's just you and the tier 9s. Obviously that's the new 7.5 matchmaker. Now, we've already covered how reducing the tier spread for the matchmaker by one tier is a good thing, but it does have other consequences. In the sort of games that these tier 10 mediums get into, and obviously the tier 10 heavies and tier 10 tank destroyers, you very rarely see people getting Top Gun. Most of the people, if you do well, you get 3 kills. And that's because there's no cannon fodder anymore. I mean, tier 10 tank, there are no tier 7s, there are no tier 6s here. You know, there's no stuff that I can kill in 1 or 2 shots. And so it's a lot harder to run up cricket scores. There are less Top Guns around. There's a lot more Confederates. Can I get that IS-7? I think I can. Yeah, that was quite a high damage roll. 320 average damage on this, and that did nearly 350. Obviously this gun is the lowest alpha damage, but the highest rate of fire of the tier 10 medium tanks. All the others do 390 average damage. This thing only does 320. But nearly 10 rounds per minute. Now, speaking of the gun, there's a lot of complaints, and I can see where it comes from. There are a lot of complaints that these guns get artillery splash damage, killed my driver. Got to fix that. You can't have a dead driver in this thing. What was I saying? Yeah, a lot of complaints that these guns remove all the element of skill from the game. People say that you just point and penetrate. Well, clearly you don't. There are still vehicles in the game that necessitate aiming for weak spots, even with these hyper penetration tier 10 medium tank guns. Now, if you're shooting against the T-54, it literally is just point and shoot. But as you can see, it's the same for the T-54 shooting at me. Yeah, the T-54 can still defend themselves against the T-62s. Everything that you're going to face can penetrate a tier 10 medium tank. You are not invulnerable. Just look at this poor bugger. And there again, non-penetrating hit. So you do still need to aim with these things, depending on what you're shooting at, obviously. I mean, you don't need to aim when you're shooting at a T-54. You don't need to aim when you're shooting at a T-44. You still need to aim when you're shooting at a T-110E5, and by extension a T-110E4 and a T-110E3. You still need to aim when you're shooting at a Jagdpanzer E100 or an E100. You pretty much really don't need to aim when you're shooting at a Löwe, especially if he's going to be this dumb. Really? That's the angle you're going to show to me? Okay. Oh, this bit was good. Look at the gap. Managed to get a shot through it. It's so nice having a gun this accurate on a Russian medium. Now, he was always going to hit me with that shot. There was no way I was going to be able to avoid it. So you just got to take it on the nose and return fire. And then take advantage of terrain features like this. So there's 3 kills, and that's usually about as well as you can expect to do in the normal kind of game that you get into in these tanks. Unless there is, because you know, there's just less cannon fodder around. But now our base is under threat. There's an IS-8 and an IS-7 running rampant in there. So, and as one of the fastest tanks in the battlefield, you totally can get back there and do something about it. But if I was in a Patton or a T-54, and there was an IS-8 and an IS-7 running around in our base, I would probably hide, wait for them to start capping, then get my one good shot in to reset the cap before I died. If I was in a T-54 or a Patton or an E-50, because going up against an IS-7 and an IS-8 is, the odds are not good. In this thing, hell yeah. I mean, they can kill you, but you can certainly kill them too. And that's a... oh, here we go. I mean, IS-8s were... if they suffer from tunnel vision like that, then any tier 9 medium can kill an IS-8, it's not a problem. IS-7's different matter. It's just nice to be in a medium tank. It's still just as fragile. In fact, even more fragile. This thing has less armour than the T-54. And the turret is... it is quite bouncy. But just the shape of the T-54's turret looks bouncier. So the only real defensive improvement that this thing has over the T-54 is it has more health, which just allows you to absorb more shots from all those tier 10s running around. And there's T-95 frontal armour. Even with the hyper penetration on these new tier 10 guns, you still have to aim for weak spots. And my problem when shooting at a T-95 is I really don't know where his bloody weak spots are. You really don't see many of these things in the game. I know he has a weak spot under his gun, but it's very small and hard to hit. And obviously his commander's cupola, if you can hit it. But if he's going to make it easy for me like this, then... but they've got a lot of health. But you have a very fast rate of fire. Okay, get him tracked. There we go. And now there, just under the gun mantle. Of course, hitting it is a different matter. But I need to keep this guy tracked. So every other shot I fire, I'm putting it into his tracks. Just come on, under the gun mantle. God, just yeah, accurate gun, but and you can hit weak spots with it. I just haven't been very lucky. And look at this genius. He's in a T-62A with 71 health, and at full speed, he tries to ram a T-95. Seriously? That was your plan? Really? You've got this gun, you got behind a T-95, and your plan was to ram him? Well, it takes all sorts, I suppose. Right, come on. This guy's getting boring now. Keep him tracked. Try and hit that bloody weak spot. Still didn't go through. Okay, let's do this the old-fashioned way. Since I've got him tracked. There we go. Come to daddy. Yeah, he's given up. He knows he's screwed. Let's go for Top Gun. Oh, no. IS-4 got the kill. Yeah, but these are pretty much the only circumstances you're going to get. You're likely to see a Top Gun award, even though that wasn't a Top Gun award. But these are probably the only circumstances you're likely to see one with this new matchmaker spread, because there are no longer any tier 7 any tier 7 tanks running around in your tier 10 games for you to bully and farm kills on. Everything, absolutely everything that you're fighting against can and does fight back. Even a T-44 can penetrate a T-62A. It's probably not going to kill him because you hit him back a lot harder than he hits you. But if a T-44 is dumb enough to go one-on-one against a T-62A, then he probably deserves to die. If he's smart and he attacks you with friends, yeah, he can hurt you. And he will hurt you. So it is, I mean, it's not an even playing field by any stretch of the imagination. They're tier 8s, you're a tier 10. It shouldn't be an even playing field, otherwise what's the point in going up the tiers? But you're not the invincible machines that everybody is, well, not everybody, but you're not the invincible machines that people are making these tanks out to be. Yes, you have very good guns. Yes, you still have to aim for weak spots against certain vehicles at certain angles. And yes, everything that you fight can and does kill you. I mean, I'm showing you games, replays here from the test server where I'm doing quite well or reasonably well. There are any number of games where I just get crushed in the first 3 minutes of the match. That's partially because I really don't know how to play this tank yet. I've only played 10 games on it, and you really need to play 50 to 100 games on any vehicle before you really get to grips with it. But at the same time, nobody else has played a lot of games with these tanks yet either, so everybody's pretty much in the same boat. Everybody can kill me, I can kill everybody else, but you still have to have a little bit of skill. Against the lower tier tanks, the tier 9s, a lot of the tier 9s, not all of the tier 9 tank destroyers, against the tier 8s, you can pretty much just point the gun at them and pull the trigger. But against some of those tier 9s, particularly the tough ones, like the T-95, I think probably also the T-28, from the front anyway, most of the tier 10 heavies, you still have to aim for those weak spots. There is still some skill involved, which is good, because the game shouldn't really be dumbed down to the degree where it doesn't matter where you aim. Your shots are still going to go through. Unless, of course, you're driving a Jagdpanzer E100. But, yeah, so there we go, T-62A, running up a pretty good game. I mean, that was a nearly 72,000 credit game, which is nice, on the 7.5 test server. Hope you enjoyed watching the fight.